Copywriting is
Right.
really creating engaging words in writing that compels that really helps somebody feel emotion and compels them to take some type of action.
Yeah,
In
dog.
marketing, regardless of your business, that's really important to make sure that we get better at the skill of copywriting. That's why in business, it's like, in order to be great, there's a bunch of different skills. And that's why success isn't overnight, because there's skills that you have to learn as you get better in this. Because the better you get at being able to communicate through the written language, you'll connect with people that you want to be able to connect with. You'll get people to click. You'll get people to, to join your trainings or join your lives or do things they wouldn't have never have normally done, because you were able to effectively and clearly and persuasively communicate. You know what I mean? And then indirectly take them watching a video, because everybody may not necessarily have the ability to watch the videos. A lot of people that are scrolling and they're at work, so they can't necessarily listen, but they can read an email, but they can scroll on Facebook and then they can read the post inside of the Facebook post. Majority of videos, fact, 80% of all videos that are viewed on Facebook are viewed on mute. I think they said the thing is this, and I'm gonna tell you one of the biggest mistakes folks make, right? And I attract a lot of coaches and speakers. One of the biggest mistakes I see that they make is somebody told them to just post content consistently, and the only thing that they're doing is posting 30-second reels, they're sharing. And a lot of them aren't consistent, but even for the folks who are consistent, the problem is that they're not providing elevated value. They're not doing anything long form for somebody to really get the chance to know, like, and trust them. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, that's really, really important that we provide our people with the ability to learn from us on a longer form basis, so instead of just like a 60-second TikTok or 30-second reel, let's focus on why don't you do a 30-minute live or an hour live? Why don't you do a 1-hour Zoom and do it free? Invite people out. You know what I mean? Even if it's cool, I used to do conference calls back in the day, freeconferencecall.com used to be on there, just training, right? And what that's going to do is that's going to give people the ability to build that connection with you. But to get people to the training, which is what I was really alluding to when I reviewed Lisa Nichols' ad, to even get people to the training, you have to make it so compelling that somebody says, I need to join that. Usually that happens through bullets. You ever read something, but you didn't read the bullets? If you think about it, there's not too many things you read, but you did not read the bullets. It's like your eyes immediately. It's like reading an email. You might not even read the whole email, but you'll read the PS. You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things, or if there's something bolded in the email, you'll read the bold as part of the email, right? That's what it's like when you're doing copy and you add bullets. So the thing is, when you're promoting for anything, especially if it's like a training or something like that, you need to give compelling points of why. One of the things that I train on, this is actually a framework that I teach our PCS members. But essentially, everybody write this framework down. This is going to be great for any kind of consultations that you do, whether it's for speaking engagements or whether it's for coaching clients. All right, everybody write this down. One is qualification. 2 is recommendation. 3 is presentation. Qualification, recommendation, and presentation. That's literally the framework for sales, or that we use, that's been powerful for sales. Overall, I would ask about their goals. I would ask about their challenges. I would ask about long-term pains. I would say, hey, if this doesn't change and the kids, and things keep going the way that they're going right now, with these kids, like, what are you afraid will happen? He might be like, man, I think if everything stays like this, I really feel like, one of the kids may get killed, or in jail, or, I really think that it's gonna be an overall bad look for the school to feel that the students as well, or it's really going to hurt the students. And I feel like we're going to lose some. We've already lost some students in the past, just due to gang violence and XYZ. And, even with losing our young girls, we already got some of them already stripping and XYZ. You know how much information that you're getting right now? That's a lot of information now. So that's qualification. So I'm usually thinking about challenges and I'm thinking about their goal. Right? And I'm asking questions. That's literally about half the conversation. Even if I got a 30-minute meeting, like 15 minutes is straight me asking you questions. Once I ask you questions, now I can tailor a solution that's specifically to your needs. You feel what I'm saying? Because you have a wide range of variety of everything. You have like a whole, kit, or you have a whole blueprint of how to help these students, right? But you don't necessarily need to go through the whole blueprint. One, you don't really have time to explain everything in detail. Two, they don't have time to listen to everything in detail. And three, people only care about the things that they need help with. They don't really care about the things that they don't need help with. So if you don't ask questions, you're saying things that they really don't care about, which is lowering your chances of actually getting the engagement. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So then once you ask these questions, one, they're going to start feeling like, oh, right, like this person is really listening. Wow, they're asking me some great questions. And by the way, you don't have to over-explain to show how smart or how much you know. Like I used to do that, right? Like years ago. So I've been in the game at the time we're doing this right now. I've been in the game about 8 years, right? Really coaching, speaking. When I started, I would always over-explain because I felt like I had to prove to you how much I knew. You feel what I'm saying? Anybody ever felt like that? Like, let me really I feel like I gotta explain and tell you everything, right? Because I need you to know that I know what I'm talking about, right? But what's interesting is as you become a great speaker and a great coach, realize that you being able to succinctly say what you have to say without over-explaining demonstrates that you know what you're talking about. You asking the right questions demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. If you have somebody good questions, because a rookie or a novice is not going to ask questions. They're not even going to know to ask questions like that. So I don't have to train you or teach you a single thing that I know. There's certain questions that somebody will ask you that you know, like, nah, this person knows, right? They knows they know this term. They know what we're going through. They know. So that's the question. That's what we call the qualification part of it. And the reason we call it qualification is because every opportunity might not necessarily be the best opportunity, right? So, although you want it, let's be clear on, you're building a brand. So every speaking engagement, every opportunity, every podcast is a recommendation. So I'm providing you a recommendation based on what I know, but what I know has to intersect with what you need. Does that make sense? So you have to make it so, when you're going and you're having these conversations, right, or you're pitching, whatever, right, or but when you're having these meetings, once you learn it, you'll say, okay, all right, no, that's great. So let me share with you. Is it okay if I share with you some of my recommendations just based on what you said? All right. So the first is I have a framework that I teach a lot of our students, and the framework is called the Stay Out of Trouble Blueprint, right? And the Stay Out of Trouble Blueprint, what I'm really going to be training them on is, first XYZ topic, this, how to stay focused, how to really figure out what they're passionate about. And the benefit of that is XYZ. So basically you're giving recommendations. And what that's going to do is for the kids who are distracted and they're going to the street and identified and found something that they're really passionate about to keep them off the streets. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, perfect. So that's one of the things that I want to really go on, and I want to teach them, right? So then you go through and you give them recommendations, right? You give them recommendations. So and you give, let's say, maybe a 3 to 5 points. By the way, it's the same exact thing I do when I'm doing consults, right? I do this. You give them your 3 to 5 recommendations of what they need. Any questions on that? Is there anything, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it'd be valuable to the students? Absolutely. They're going to say yes, because what you're saying is in line with what they just told you. And that's the key. That right there is going to make you a lot of money, because you're talking about what's relevant to them. So they're going to be interested. So then once you give them those recommendations, and it makes sense and they don't have any questions, you ask them if they have questions, then you move on to the presentation. And the presentation now is how we're going to work together. So you like the recommendations I just gave you. So, all right, so how are we really going to learn this? So this is what I recommend. This is how we'll be able to work together. So one, I want to come in. I think it'd be beneficial. I like to build long-term relationships. So I think it'd be beneficial if I came in once a month until the end of the school year, right? So, I feel like, so come back once a month just so they can really, I'm not just a one-trick pony. I come in one time, hype up the crowd. I really want to come in and I want to be able to, I want to do assembly. So if we could do an assembly once a month, you invite me, have no problem doing that. I also have an ongoing program that I think could be beneficial to them. We meet on Zoom on a weekly basis. I think it'd be beneficial to invite the students on here, and that'll really allow me to help them identify their passions, help them identify what they want to do in life, and really start preparing them, whether it's for college or whether it's for to start their business or whatever. Right. So I also want to give them access to a program. There's also now this is my presentation, right? I'm sharing with them the deliverables essentially of what they're getting, right? So also too, I think it'll also be powerful if I also spoke to the staff and to the teachers as well, right? There's some powerful frameworks and or activities that I think, since I'm not there with them every day, but the teachers are there with them every day, to continue to build on this message. I would love to meet with the teachers, twice throughout the school year, where I can really train and teach them on what does it take, or what does it take to really help take them to the next level, right? And so how does that sound? How does that package sound? That sounds good. That sounds like something you want to be able to do. All right, perfect. So then from there, you just go on to really the next steps, and then you would say something like, all right, perfect. So the next steps are, we basically, negotiate. Now, everybody's different. So they might not necessarily just say yes on the spot and write you a check. They might say, okay, great. They might say, send me a proposal, right? They might say, okay, great. Send me something. So it may not necessarily be off of the first encounter. So really be mindful of that. But I would go through hey, the next steps is, we arrange what the payments look like, et cetera, et cetera. Usually I charge this. Usually I charge this to do this type of speaking engagement. Is that around what your budget is? And then they'll either say yes or no. And if it's no, you negotiate it until you feel comfortable with what they're able to pay you. And then they're probably going to tell you to send a proposal. And then at that point, you draft it up, they'll sign it. And people are going to connect with you based off your values and your principles. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will connect with you based on that. So, you want to be mindful of what you put out, right? I'm mindful that I show my family, because people who care about their family and they family oriented, they're gonna be like, yo, Terrell is dope. He really cared about his family. Terrell, I show my personality. There was a point in time when I started where I didn't even show my personality for real. Like, one of the first people I saw online that was really doing it was ET. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, that's who I need to be like in order to be successful. So I emulated a lot of his mannerisms, but people weren't really attracted to what I was doing like that. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, damn, why? So I ended up getting a coach who was like, Terrell, stop performing. And I said, what you talking about? Performing? He said, you performing. He said, you just need to be yourself. And I didn't realize that because I was watching so much of ET that I was literally like performing, being as if I was him. And I didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until I started being me and being fun and just being, and I'm being me. Once I started just being me is when people started to connect with me. And that's when literally the floodgates started opening and people just started rocking with me. And when they came across my content, they stuck. When they came across my content, they followed, they subscribed. And this is how I'm building up. All we really need to do is train and help people a lot and do it every day. Because your marketing, and I was just talking to one of our clients about this, your training online is your marketing, right? So you don't have to go out, you don't have to do billboards anymore. You don't have to do, you don't have to do ads on TV or ads on the radio. All you really need to do is get online and train and speak and demonstrate what you know and be a real person. And you don't have to try too hard, because what's going to happen is when you try too hard, even if you have a good message, people are like, why are you trying so hard? Like what? Like something does. People are very intuitive. What's happening? Even if you do that, you can do that too on a, you could do that too on a call with somebody, or you could do that in front of a principal. You know what I'm saying? And if you really try too hard, you could be great at what you do, but if you're trying too hard, that is a natural instinct inside of us as humans that it's something that just doesn't. All you really need to do is train and teach, be real, give great content, and then give somebody a call to action. And literally, that's literally what we do. And the people who do it, and the people who don't get results are either the people who never, ever ask anybody to do anything. So then people never know you have anything to sell. Or if you can fall into the danger zone of you give away so much free content that people don't want to spend money with you.